Hello everybody, and welcome to episode 30 of the Crochetcakes podcast. My name is Clarissa, and you can find me on most of the social medias as Crochetcakes.
And I am Caroline, Inspired Professor, that's capital I, capital P, on Ravelry, and Inspired_Professor on Instagram.
And as we said, welcome to episode 30. This is our summer special for the year before everything just goes back to normal in work life and basically work life. Because when you work, you really just have to squeeze in life, don't you? Otherwise, you just work.
Everything else gets complicated.
Yeah, everything else gets complicated. We've titled this episode, Not Knitting. And there's a bit of a funny story attached to that, and it's because if you follow me on Instagram this week, Mom was kind enough to take a picture of the cherry heart skirt that I made with the solid granny squares, and a lot of you liked it, so thank you for all those lovely comments. But that same day I went out with my boyfriend and a couple of friends, and one of our friends looked at my skirt and he was like, "Oh, you knit that, right?" And I just said no. And my boyfriend was like, "No, that's crochet." And so our friend goes, "Well, what's the difference?" And my boyfriend, he's the one that kind of just says, "Well, crochet is with a hook and knitting is with 2 needles. And that's crochet." It was just one of those moments that I came home, I told Mom, I was like, "I'm so proud. I did it. Somebody understands the difference between knitting and crochet." And by somebody, I mean my boyfriend.
Somebody who doesn't knit or crochet.
Yeah, whom I constantly harass with yarn stories and crochet and all that bits and bobs. So yeah, just thought we'd share that story with you because it was something, I thought it was cute.
Yeah, I imagine.
I thought it was cute. But a bit of channel admin before we actually begin with the loads and loads of things we've got to chat to you about today. And that is that today is, what day is today? The 29th of July. Today is the 29th of July and it's Saturday, which means that exactly a week from today, the Summer Romance Cal will end. You've still got a week to submit all your lovely projects that you finished. As of July 26th, there were 22 finished objects on the Ravelry thread, which is amazing. You guys are doing so well, and I love all the little descriptions you attach to each project because, you know, it just makes it all the more personal knowing that you guys are as invested in these characters as we are in other characters, and it's been great. A lot of people have chosen Pride and Prejudice, which I just think it's cute. I mean, Mr. Darcy. Although, huge side note, this wasn't even programmed on the notes, but I just remembered, you remember that book that I bought once that was called Jane Austen's Guide to Dating?
Yes.
If you haven't read it, go buy it. It's a great book. I got it for $1 off Amazon. Then I lent it to a friend and she never gave it back. But the premise of the book is that she's a British author living in the States, and her master's is in the customs of courting in the Jane Austen era. And so she uses as examples characters from the book and people she knows in real life who act as those characters, and she gives you stories of what you're supposed to do, what these characters did right. Anyway, at the end of that book, she includes a quiz that you're supposed to take to find out who
I don't know, I didn't read the book.
I forgot. Pause for the dog. Was it who? It was to find out which male character from the Jane Austen series was your quote-unquote soulmate. I got Mr. Tilney from Northanger Abbey. Mm-hmm. Did you take the quiz?
No. No.
You would probably got him Mr. Darcy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, yes, you've got 1 week to submit any finished objects that you want. Just remember, go into the finished objects thread and click whose couple you're representing and the project. And that is that. So
There's still a week left.
Yeah.
So if you're a fast crocheter or a fast knitter, you could whip up something in the days to come and still get it in there.
Yeah. And I won't be podcasting again until I'll be recording the podcast on the 13th of August and it'll go live on the 14th. And Claudia and I have coordinated to kind of, for our podcast to go live on the same date. So you guys get a little fun of who won the chatter thread and who won the finished objects thread. And I will review the prizes for the finished objects thread next time I podcast.
Okay, so come join us with that. It's been fun up to now, and there's still some time left.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll be able to finish mine, but we'll discuss that later. So I think it's time we kind of address the elephants in the room. There are big elephants in the room and some small elephants in the room.
neither her, she, or I. How would you say that?
Well,
neither of us are the elephants, but
that sounds better than what I was thinking. So, Mom.
What are we wearing?
Yeah.
Okay, who goes first?
Well, you made both objects.
Okay.
so I'm just cheekily putting it on.
Today I am wearing then my replica of the Luna Lovegood cardigan, the one that she wears in the 5th movie of the Harry Potter series, The Order of the Phoenix.
It's the scene where she's feeding the thestrals.
Right. Okay, it is based on a pattern that I found on the internet, and I did make it myself. And the pattern is by Megan Nieves, and it's posted several places. One of the places posted is on the leakycauldron.org, and so you can find it there. It's a free pattern, and I'll just talk a little bit about the process and some of the details. That I'm wearing it like this because in the movie she wears it open like this all the time, but it is possible to close it. It's not a very difficult pattern. The instructions were pretty simple. It starts with a square yoke, and the square yoke is nothing but double crochets, and every once in a while these 90-degree turns that she calls them that are going to
raglan increases here.
Well, yeah, that's where the 90-degree. She calls them 90-degree increases. That's why I'm calling them like that.
Yeah.
And so that's basically maybe a granny square outline would be around
basically
the yoke.
Yeah.
And then what she does is she crochets, double crochet all the way down until your yoke meets at the back with under the arm at the back of the yoke, and then you attach, and from there you're going to go back and forth, go into each corner to each end until you have completed the body. After the body, she goes to the sleeves. Now, if you notice in the movie, the recreation of the cardigan, I really can't remember how the book describes, if it even describes a cardigan. This is coming directly from the movie. But the movie version, the one that Megan puts online, does not have this ribbon. I can't see this ribbing at the bottom. So, but in the movie you can see in her different positions that she's got a ribbing at the bottom, and she's also got this mesh on the side, continuing the mesh.
It's like a lace pattern,
Yeah, it's Megan calls it a mesh, so I'm calling it a mesh, and I stuck it in there following a mesh pattern. So,
do you know what we could do? I could take a little video of you wearing it so that they can see all the details closed up.
Yeah, we can do
that'll work.
But you can also see a lot of details online. Megan put a lot of pictures. It's an old pattern. It's been there since I think 2008. Or maybe even 2006. I can't remember right now. So it's like when the movie just came out, she immediately did it. So, But yeah, you can still find it in several places. There are several projects on Ravelry also that imitate it.
Did the original pattern include the mesh on the sleeve?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Megan's pattern. What do you mean by the original one?
I mean the pattern.
The designers?
Yeah,
the designer has the mesh on the sleeve. I'm not so sure about the underarm part, because the underarm part you can notice it in the movie, but you can't really see from her pictures if she included an underarm mesh. But I included it, trying to imitate a little bit more what the actual cardigan that was used in the movie. So this is.
So how'd you make the button?
This is in the color first is somewhere on here.
No,
Here.
The color
it was living in my this was my Hotel of Bees bag. I don't think it ever came out because the Hotel of Bees was already long gone after.
I'll hold it up.
And so we've got peaches and cream. Is that lilac? Mm-hmm.
Fresh lilac. And it was very hard to get a hold of this color. I think you bought it the last 3 schemes on eBay or something.
I had participated in the fiber share interchange, and my partner sent me, one of my partners, because you get 2 partners in the fiber share exchange, somebody that sends you and somebody that you send. And so the one that sent to me, I included one of these in her package. And so I thought it was a closer color to the one that comes out in the movie, but it turned out it wasn't all that close. But when I went looking for it, it really wasn't that easy to find. I found maybe one more in Walmart, and I needed a total of 4. These are 70-gram skeins, or hanks, or
these are
cakes.
skeins.
Those are skeins? Okay, so those are 70-gram skeins. I found one in Walmart, and
3
the other 2 I had to...
you bought 3 on eBay.
Yeah, I bought 3, but I only needed 2. But I had to buy 3 because they were selling them in a package of 3, and they were like double in price.
Left over.
That's how much is left from the 4th one. And that was after I made the buttons, like Clarissa was mentioning before. The buttons, she also includes in her pattern a link to where you can see how to cover up how to cover up a button in crochet. And so I just used the buttons that you purchase that are used to make fabric buttons, where you cover them with fabric and then like push the bottom part into the top cap. I used only the bottom part, and I covered it with a little sort of like, it's exactly the same pattern as when you're making little balls, circular balls, and then you increase and then decrease. And so I covered them and attached them. And that's it. That's the Luna Lovegood cardigan. Very happy with it. I like the way, I don't know, it's in cotton, so it's heavy. It's kind of heavy. It's, well, we're broadcasting, so to say, or podcasting from Puerto Rico, and it's rather hot here this morning. I'm not hot yet, but I don't know if on a regular hot day I'd be able to wear it. But like to work and maybe something like that, it would be fine. So it's also a quick crochet up, right? When I started it the first time, I think I did the yoke 3 times in a couple of hours, because I was testing different yarns, and so it's quick. It's pretty quick. Took a little longer because I was waiting for the yarn to come in, but it's not difficult. The hardest part, and the part where everybody who comments says they get lost, is on the sleeves. I don't think they're too clear the way she made them, so I kind of like did what I understood I was supposed to do. And for example, she does them back and forth, goes from one corner back and forth to create the mesh. And I'm like, well, I don't want to go back and forth, because then you have to sew it together in the end. And I just went around. And so, yeah, there were some changes, and I think basically everybody who has done it that I saw, it does some change to it. But I'm very grateful for the designer. She puts out her pattern, and so what are you wearing?
I don't know. I didn't make it.
You should have studied my notes. Okay.
Well, I know what I'm wearing. I'm wearing your...
This is called the Feather Fan Top.
It's a free pattern by Rebecca Averill. It's from 2014. and it's talesofthehook.blogspot.com.
That's her site. That's her site because she's got lots of other things there. And the top, as with this one,
it's top-down crochet.
And I've tended to prefer that type of design, a top-down, because you can make adjustments. You see, it doesn't fit Clarissa the way it would fit me because this is for a 34 to a 36 bust also.
And
so
very tiny.
This is something that if she were to make it, she could fix very easily simply by just adding another crochet line of single crochet around the top. Mostly the reason that I didn't do it was because I ran out of yarn. Yeah. So if you'll notice, when we get do you want me to
no,
try and move that down?
That's fine. I'll just get up. There's two colors.
So if I've been very good with my Ravelry. All of this is on Ravelry, so it's on Ravelry. It's called the two-tone feather and fan, and so
the reason it was two-toned was because this yarn, I bought it at Loop in London when I was over there in March, and I hung out with the lovely Emma from the Potter and Bloom podcast and the lovely Catherine from Crafternoon Treats. So we met up and I saw this yarn in the store and I really thought Mom would like it, especially because it's a fingering weight cotton.
It's BC Garn 100% organic cotton, and it is. They have several. What would you call that?
Colorways?
It's not necessarily a colorway, but Red Heart has Homespun.
Oh, so it's a brand, but it has like different daughters.
Yeah, well, this is the Alba. This is the Alba
cotton yarn from the company.
Gotta be a word for that.
There is, but I don't remember.
Okay, so it's the Alba 100% organic cotton from BC Garn, and this is, I believe, maybe a 32 and a 34 because the colorways don't have names. But I searched and searched and searched
it's like
for it, and
old pink and like
dusty pink
and old pink, basically.
This is similar to the color you get when you do avocado dyeing.
Yep.
And so, well, I wanted to use that yarn because it was a memory for Clarissa of her trip to
London, Edinburgh,
well,
Scotland,
Edinburgh,
everything.
And
to
London.
the UK.
She had bought it to me as a gift.
Well, essentially, it was great.
I searched and I searched, but I couldn't find. They don't sell it anymore. Loop was out of stock.
So where were we? The colors. The colors, Mom searched for them, but a lot of places that used to carry them said it was out of stock. So we don't know if the colors are discontinued, but you can still find the yarn in a lot of different colors. And it is very lovely. I don't know how it was to crochet with.
No, it was very nice to crochet. I'm making, for example, this cotton isn't as soft in that, and it's always obviously a lot thicker because it's worsted. Some people even classify it as Aran. And this one was very soft. It wasn't splitty, and it was good to crochet with.
And it's lovely to wear. It's really soft and light. I'm not gonna get hot in this.
The top then is a top-down design. It starts with the yoke. The yoke has a pattern that goes along with it. The pattern is continued all the way down until the front and the back part of the yoke meet at your underarm, and then you connect and you continue in the round to do the body. There is a pattern for the yoke, and then there is a second pattern at the waist to like pull it in to make it fitted, and there's a third pattern at the bottom for the hips to make it a little wider so that your hips fit in. It was an easy pattern to follow. It was clear, and I didn't have any doubt at any time what to do. And it was I think it was a quick.
It was a quick
crochet too.
And this actually only used because we said we said Mom ran out of yarn.
Does it have 50 grams? So it was 4
They were
times
40 grams.
200 grams.
They were, yeah. Yeah.
The pattern actually calls for a little bit more than 200 grams. And so that's why I was worried. I used, another thing that I did here was that I used 2 sizes of hooks.
Mm-hmm.
I used a size of a hook for the top yoke because I was afraid that it might not fit me, and then another size.
I think that's a very good practice whenever you're trying to alter a pattern and you're not sure about, say, how you would do the decreases. You could always play around with your different hook sizes because, for example, for me, I'm a bit wider in my shoulders than I am around my bust. My bust is really small. My waist, I like things to be quite fitted in my waist, but not around my butt. I don't know, it's weird. So, but the point is, I really like how this shirt fits, even though it's a bit too big for me. I really like how it fits, and you can certainly see the kind of a bit of the way she brings it in.
Fitted.
Mm-hmm. So I think you did an awesome job
as well. The designer did an awesome job.
It's a bit big on me.
I just follow instructions. Yeah, it's because since it's made to fit, it just tells you to crochet until the yoke meets underarms. So Clarissa would have had to start earlier than I did because I got a bigger top than she has.
If we find more of this yarn, I think I want to crochet all my cotton stuff in this yarn. It wasn't, was it? I don't remember how much it cost, honestly. I don't. It was in pounds, if that's helpful, which it isn't.
Well, I think when I looked for it on Loop, it was 4-something pounds. So
it's about $7 for 50 grams. That's a bit steep. I mean, it's a bit steep if you want to make a garment, because
garments are always
always
expensive unless you're making them in acrylic, I guess.
And even then, it could be expensive depending on what your sweater quantity is, because cotton is usually more expensive than acrylic. So, this one, I think it's one of the cheapest cottons, and it's because it's meant to be a kitchen cotton. You know, it's not, you're not actually meant to make garments out of it. But for example, the 24/7 cotton from Lion Brand, I think each of those balls is about $4, and I think they're 100 grams, but you would still need at least 4 to make a garment. So, you know, that's $12 in materials only, and that's depending how long you want it, how wide you are. So,
so your size.
Yeah.
For example, with the 200, well, obviously I didn't have enough of the one color. I would have preferred to make it in the one color. But with the 200 grams, I think it's a nice fit. In the pattern, it was longer. But I couldn't continue because I was out of yarn. So I used it all. There was nothing left of the yarn.
It's a nice length. It's not cropped. I like lengths like these because I don't like... If a shirt's going to be really long, then I'd rather it's very wide because then I feel like you can wear it with leggings. But if it's a tight shirt and it's really long, I feel like I look like a... You guys don't have this, I don't know. But if you know what a sorujo is, it's a corn stick. That's what I feel like when I'm wearing a really long, tight shirt. Anyway.
Well, it's a nice make if you... And I
really like the cardigan.
It can be adjusted in other yarns. This yarn was good for this one because if you look at the movie, you see that Luna is very rustic. It's just not, doesn't have, it looks a lot like the one, you know, it was crocheted in a big hook, and it was crocheted with a strong, heavy yarn. Might have been wool in her case, but it really didn't look like wool.
Might have been hand spun. Luna strikes me as a type of character.
But no, you can tell that because it would have had like what do you call it?
Well, you know, I would like to think...
What do they call that when the hair strands out?
The halo?
Halo. Would have had a halo, and it doesn't if you...
But I would still think that if you are hand spinning yarn with magic, you'd probably get more of a fabric finish.
If you do magic, I mean, everything is going to look perfect. Okay, Gladys, let's go to the next one because we have no magic to do things with.
We're muggles. Not exactly proud of it. I would rather be a witch.
Well,
sometimes
we do have some witchy qualities.
Yes, but that's not really magical.
So,
finished objects.
That's it for what we're wearing. And we will be moving on to, finished objects.
Finished objects. I have a pair, uno, dos, of Finnish objects. One of them, I don't actually have it with me because I gifted it already. So I guess I could talk about that one first. I'll insert a little video and photo shoot for you guys.
They saw a part of it.
They saw him made. They saw his head and then his
body,
turkey legs, you know, drumsticks.
They were
yeah, they were connected. Well, yes, I finished the ginormous Galahad the Dragon pattern, who's again by Laura Taylor, who's The Stitch Tower on Instagram, Ravelry, and Etsy. And I've talked about this pattern before. Mom's made it as well, so she can attest to how easy it is. I think the hardest part of this pattern is actually the construction, because
attaching the pieces. And not that it's difficult, but that it is difficult to get right.
Yeah.
You don't know how much tension, you don't know. I wish there was more of a video on how to attach the pieces.
Yeah, all my dragons look different. But what I did figure out making this ginormous dragon, it was crocheted with Lion Brand Homespun, which, as we've discussed previously, is, I probably think, the worst yarn I've ever made anything with. Especially because I was using a 4mm hook, so it kept getting caught in the little halo that it had. I'm pretty sure that's what drove me to have such a huge pain in my hands and in my arm. But anyway.
You were crocheting with tension.
Yeah, I was crocheting it really tightly as well, so I wouldn't have any holes.
And stress on yourself.
Stress, because I wanted to finish it in time to, because I gifted it to my boyfriend.
And you hated the yarn?
I hated, yeah, well, you know. The point of this all is that it was a bulky weight, but I thought it was more like super bulky. Yeah. Well, anyway.
Did we get to weigh him?
No, I didn't weigh him. But as you can see in these video and pictures, he's huge. He's huge. But what I did learn, because somebody had previously asked me if I had any tips about how to construct the dragon, and I just said that when you're crocheting it and when you're about to attach, use a lot of pins to pre-attach the pieces together so you can play around with where you're attaching them. That is something I do. I take a lot of pins and just kind of pre-sew it and see what it looks like. But another tip would be to firmly stuff the neck area, especially if you're making it in a heavyweight yarn, because the head is just huge.
Yeah, it will be the heaviest part of the body.
It'll feel like the heaviest part, and it'll tend to kind of
drop
in embarrassment.
All my dragons look ashamed.
Yeah, they all go
ashamed of what these people did to me.
Well, so I finished it, and I had originally called him Norbert because he reminded me of what I think a Norwegian breechback baby dragon would look like, which means he's about the size of a baby human, maybe a 4-month-old baby human. I mean, seriously, guys. But I didn't tell my boyfriend what I had named him, and he named him Bahamut because it's B-A-H-A-M-U-T. It's a dragon that appears in a video game that I cannot recall right now. As previously mentioned, if you've seen my podcast before, my boyfriend is a huge gamer. So yeah, that's why he's called Bahamut. I don't know. I did run out of the yarn that I had, so I had to buy a skein at Walmart, and luckily they still had the color, which was Windsor. And if with acrylic yarns, I don't really tend to look for the same dye lot because they're usually pretty evenly matched, so I didn't worry about it. And besides, he was a dragon. Dragons are probably not the same color all around. So yeah, he was very happy with it. He kept saying, "It's so huge." I'm like, yeah, kind of is.
Well, he didn't show his emotions when you gave it to him, right?
'Cause I gave it to him at a parking lot, and he was looking everywhere, just trying to make sure nobody was looking at him. And he actually didn't express any emotion. He just went, "Thank you." And honestly, I felt like crying. I was like, do you know how hard I worked on that dragon? How much I disliked using that yarn? Men. That's all I have to say, men. Whew, it's getting hot.
Yeah, it's just getting hot in here.
So why don't you discuss your second finished object? Well, third. 1, 2, yeah.
Another.
Yeah, another.
I had a birthday this month. If you remember, my birthday was July the 6th.
You remember?
And so I did a cast on for my birthday from a book that Clarissa had gifted me.
The Vicki Brown
Crochet sock collection.
Yeah.
The Vicki Brown crochet sock collection. And out of all, and they're not so many, but there are about 6 different styles, 6 different patterns. I chose one called Falling Leaves.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I just remembered it had the moss stitch.
Yes. And let me check my notes for a second. Okay. They are
Fallen leaves.
They were sitting in this Japanese knot bag that I also made for my birthday, following a pattern I'll tell you in just a minute. Here are the socks. I didn't bring the sock blocker. I have my Adobe socks. These are Fallen Leaves. I think I forgot to bring the yarn band.
It was drops.
But the yarn was also gifted to me by Clarissa Beth for my birthday. And so
I didn't know it was
I wanted to use birthday yarn, birthday pattern to make a pair of birthday socks. And
they were the same dye lot,
right?
Because I got it at
Move it up next to this
Wool. I got it at Wool Warehouse, and Wool Warehouse lets you choose the dye lot. So if you're choosing multiple balls of yarn, you can make sure they're from the same dye lot. These were from the same dye lot.
And they were the same color.
Same colorway, yeah.
And I started at the same end of the ball.
Yeah.
And even if I hadn't,
they wouldn't have matched.
It uses maybe, I would say, about 90 grams. It doesn't use the whole. I can show you what I have left here. This is what I had left from one. This is what I had left from the other.
It's Drops Delight.
Look, okay.
The color is 05 dye lot 9269.
This is what I had left in each case. Not much. But notice how different the leftover is. Totally different. I mean, even if I go from the inside and say, oh, I started on the wrong side, I don't know what happened.
And while Mom was crocheting these socks, she mentioned that it feels like a very sturdy yarn, like it's gonna last. But sometimes when you were crocheting with it, it's just kind of like...
It seemed a little bit like hand spun, because there were moments where the yarn got very thin, other moments where the yarn was very thick, and you can probably see it in different places around the sock. I don't know if you can see that, but it gets kind of thick. The only thing I really like the fit of the pattern. It's easy to follow. It's maybe because of the colorway, it's not easy to see that this has a moss stitch. You can tell the difference between the single crochet for the heel and the moss stitch, not moth. Moss stitch at the bottom. It's thicker, it's cuddly, it's cushiony. So these are more of, like the name says, fallen leaves,
like for
of autumn, for warmer weather.
Honestly, that book is making me want to crochet socks, and I picked my first crochet sock pattern. I want to make the hop. I want to make the hop socks.
It has a cuff, crocheted cuff, but I made the crochet cuff, and one thing I have always noticed about my crochet sock patterns, and other people that make socks have mentioned it, it's the cuff. The cuff is always loose, but then again, the sock is so fitted that there's no way that even with a loose cuff it's going to fall off, or it's even going to roll down. But still...
Mom prefers to knit her cuffs.
It's not that I prefer it. I really want to be able to make it completely in crochet because I'm slow at knitting. And
don't need to tell me that.
But I did. I knitted the cuff on both of these just so that it would look a little bit less stretched. Okay.
It's a 2x2 rib.
Yeah, I don't do 1x1s. No.
You know, actually, I think the Bakery Bears were talking about this, and I totally agree. Doing a 1x1 rib on fingering weight yarn, I always feel that it looks messy. it doesn't look as neat as a 2x2 rib. So I prefer to do a 1x1 rib if I'm using DK or thicker. In worsted weight, I think it looks beautiful to do a 1x1 rib. But if I'm using fingering weight, 2x2 rib, or the 2x1 rib from the Mercury Socks pattern.
Well, this was crocheted in a 3.5 millimeter hook, so it stitches up really quick. And this was knit in a 2.75, so pretty big, just because I wanted to get it done quicker. But I think I should have picked up more stitches from the crochet, but yeah, next time maybe. The reason I chose this sock was because it's a toe-up design, and all the socks that I've made, I like to make them toe-up because I can try them on and adjust as I
I'm gonna have to try toe-up, because when I am knitting a sock, the despair I feel when I'm at knitting the foot is pretty big.
I have a class purchase from Craftsy a long time
From Susan B.
a while back.
Anderson.
Yep, from Susan B. Anderson on
Toe-up.
knitting toe-up socks. Yeah, at some point I will try it because it's just that I'm still not giving up. I still want to try. I'm actually going to the point where I want to try stitching with lace weight yarn to see if I can get a thinner fabric for my socks than when you crochet. Even with fingering, even if you crochet with fingering, the thickness,
it produces a much thicker fabric than
because
you get
you always
knitting.
when you crochet, every stitch is double versus when you knit, and so you don't get the same type of fabric. But yeah, at some point I'm going to try knitting. It's just
No,
not yet.
You're giving.
Not yet. Well, you know, that's one of the things that I don't like about the discussions in the community, is that they make these divisions between knitting and crochet. It's like the knitters against the crocheters, and it kind of even feels sometimes like there's a little bit there of friction, a little bit of competition, and I don't see it that way, because a lot of the patterns that I like are vintage. And if you look way back to where all this started in the vintage patterns,
Knitting and crochet.
they very easily and calmly combine knitting with crochet. Knitting when I needed it, crochet when it was, because crochet is faster. It moves along faster, but knitting has a finer fabric, and
So that's what I like about
closed. It's closed stitches, so you don't always have to wear another thing under whatever it is that you knit.
or show flesh.
And so yeah, I don't feel the competition. I actually like to combine it, and I actually like to combine all three of the things that we do here: sewing, knitting, and crocheting. If I can do it, I don't. So yeah, it's not like I'm giving in. It's just that like. I watched Clarissa do the crochet socks on DPNs and
Knit socks.
I'm sorry, the knit socks on DPNs, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do that.
I don't actually like knitting socks on DPNs anymore.
I can't handle the 9-inch circulars. I did the cuff on the 9-inch circulars, and it's just too small.
Oh,
Not that my hands are big,
Yeah.
but no,
Except
come on.
that for 9-inch circulars, the bigger you get, the shorter your needle actually is. So for 3.25 millimeter, I actually don't mind using DPNs because I've used them so much. They're very soft.
Well, yeah, you know how you handled it already. But I'm still, one of the things that affects my making a lot is the fact that I always doubt what I can do. I'll see a pattern, I like it, but that looks difficult. Or I'll see a pattern and I'll think about it and think about it.
And the thing
I don't think I have the talent.
She does that. But she adjusted this pattern just fine. And she comes up with the most ingenious ways to do things. So I'm always like, Mom, really, can't you just start it? And she goes, I'm scared.
Yes, and I'm always scared to start. Once I start it, the second problem I have is I don't want to put it down until I finish. That's why I'm a dangerous starter, because I stop everything. I can't think about anything else. I can't do anything else until I get that done.
See, I'm backwards. It's like, I don't care how difficult it looks, I'm going to start that. My issue is finishing. Speaking of finishing, are you done talking about your socks?
I just wanted to mention again the bag. because I wanted to give some credit to the designer. This is a Japanese knot bag, and it is by Helen Heath at helenheath.com. She includes a pattern, a template that you can cut out, and so it's an easy enough make. It's no zippers to hassle with, no drawstring, and this one is a little different from others that I've seen in the fact that it has a round bottom. I made this in my favorite character, which is Snoopy, and on the inside I use this little paw fabric. And so, yeah, if you're looking for a simple bag, I actually found a version that's a lot bigger. It's like for a beach bag, and I'm thinking about stitching that up to make shopping bags. And so, thank you to Helen for her cute design. It's not a recent. I think it's from 2008 also, so it's not recent, but you know, there are things you can find on the internet and you make them when you make them.
Yep.
Okay, I'm all done. So, what's your other finished object?
It's the Basil the Hare pattern that I was test crocheting for Laura Taylor, who is the Stitch Tower. And it's a really easy pattern, as with most of Laura's patterns, and I'm saying most because I've crocheted Galahad the Dragon 2 times, and my cousin wants me to make one for her. I have to make one for my friend who also asked me for one, and when my boyfriend posted his dragon on Instagram, 3 of his friends were like, "Where did you buy that? I want one." And I can't make the same pattern 5 times. It's just not in me.
But she does have a lot of other patterns.
You
just haven't made them.
I do. She has a...
I want the fox.
Oh, she has a fox. She has a mole. And she has a mandrake or mandragora, which is used to revive those who have been put into a petrified state. I bought that one. I want to make it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. But this one's Basil. And Basil here, it's very easy. The construction in Laura's characters are usually very similar in terms of the body, the feet, and the arms. I ran out of yarn. It's more obvious if there's a lot of sunlight. So if you go outside, it's really obvious that this white and this white are not the same. So I was using little contrasting color for the pads, which I wish I would have thought of when I was doing the feet, because it would look so cute with a little contrasting. It would be like shoes, wouldn't it?
Right.
And for the ears as well. The reason he was not a finished... Oh, and the tail. The reason he wasn't a finished object earlier was because I couldn't decide on the buttons or the nose. The nose, I just took some embroidery floss and I went up, down, around, up, down, around, up, down, and that's what came out. If you embroider, you probably do a lot neater, but I mean, if I do a close-up, you can tell it's a bit of a hairy nose. But I think overall he turned out quite cute. These are buttons that I finally convinced Mom to sew for me. See, because the technique I have, and she knows it, but she still falls for it every time. The technique I have is that I start doing it and I start, oh, I can't do this. It's taking forever. And then she just gets tired of hearing me. She's like, give me that. And me.
No, I just feel guilty because I didn't help. And so she works on my guilt complex like that.
Guys, I really hate sewing in buttons. I ask Mom to do it for every single
But the reason that I said that I wouldn't do it was because when she was making the head, before she stuffed and closed it, I said sew on the buttons because it's easier if you do it from the inside. And she resisted. She didn't want to do it. And so I said, well then, I'm not going to do it.
The shame. So yeah, this is Basil the Hare. He doesn't actually have a name. Basil's the name of the pattern. I was thinking of calling him Hop.
Look at his little cardigan.
He's so cute. Wouldn't that just... Or a scarf. Or a bow tie.
And a bow tie. Cardigan and a bow tie. Because since he's white, it'll look like he has a shirt on.
I'm going to have to go look into that.
We say all those kinds of things and then we never do it.
I might make the bow tie. Because that will just be make a bow and leave a string long enough so you can... I might make a bow tie for him. I think he would like that. He still doesn't have a name though. So that is all the finished objects I have. That's it for me. Now my co-host will take.
No, I'm done with my finished objects too.
No, you're not.
Well, the other objects that I have left.
Oh, that's
were
true.
going to be part
That's
of
true.
our update on the Summer of
Romance Cal. So update on that. I'm not finished.
With a quick update.
I'm not finished. Like, let me show you guys where I'm at so you can laugh with me. Hold the yarn. So, if you guys
have enough.
Yeah. If you guys remember what couple I'm representing, because I haven't talked about it in a long while, is Styx and Bethany from the book Styx, which is a romance novel part of the Dark Hunter series from Sherilyn Kenyon. And I'm doing the Fog Break shawl by Kat Golden from who's one half of the Crochet Project. And overall, I'm actually done with the Styx colorway, which is the blue indigo purpley bit with bits of green. I'm working on the Bethany portion of the shawl. And the Bethany portion of the shawl is, now all that's left is the broomstick lace border. Literally, that's 5 rows of broomstick lace. So I'm just kind of reiterating here the fact that I really am horrible at finishing objects. I really have to push myself to finish objects.
And it's a new stitch, and it's not.
I'm even halfway through a row, as you guys can see.
I've never done the broomstick lace before, but watching Clarissa, it seems a little complicated.
It's actually not complicated. It just requires dexterity, which I'm awful at. So
that's what I meant by complicated.
Some
coordination that
I actually switched. These broomstick lace stitches were done with a 10mm needle, and these were done with a 12. And I much prefer the 12 because since I tend to crochet tightly, the 10mm knitting needle was just not doing it. Especially.
And I was watching a broomstick lace
with a broomstick
tutorial that used a much bigger one.
Yeah. So I'm actually kind of done with the crochet hook. I'm using Hermione. This is an H size hook, which is a 5mm hook. This is was made by Angie Jack from Harper Baby Shop. She's a very talented polymer clay artist, and I want to buy all her Harry Potter hooks. But since she's really busy and she gets a lot of orders, now she's just posting them little by little so that she'll have 10 purchases available of this hook, and when she's finished with that hook, then she'll move on to another Harry Potter character. Right now, I think the only Harry Potter character that she has is Harry Potter. But I bought Hermione as part of a Dramoni kit because, as we previously discussed, I am a Draco Hermione fan. So I've got Draco somewhere.
Okay.
So that's me, and that's my update on the Summer of Romance Cal, which is a Cal that I'm co-hosting with Claudia of the Crochet Luna podcast. And go over to the chatter thread, check out what everybody's been saying about it, because it has been a very active, chattery community. I'm hosting the finished objects thread, as I've mentioned, and
there's still a week left.
There's still a week left.
So, talking about the Summer of Romance and talking about your Draco and Hermione partnership there, I'm going to move on to my finished objects for the Summer of Romance Cal. And I made 2 objects.
Okay, the first one.
The order doesn't matter. I was going to...
This is easier to access.
Okay, I can just bring that one forward.
No, I could just wear it.
Oh, okay. I have a model here for...
Wait.
Oh, you've got that big pen there. Yeah, okay. The one of my objects was this felted hat.
Oh, it's hot.
And that's why I don't want to wear it.
I take it back. I don't want to wear it.
It's 100% wool because in order to felt... Actually, did you know that it's called fulling, not felting, when you use a crocheted garment and then put it through the process to lose its stitch definition?
Does it make it less hot?
Felting is called when you do it directly to the unspun wool. No, it won't make it less. But the thing about it, there were several things before she gets too hot. Well, you know, you always put it back on the doll if you get too hot. This is crocheted using a pattern, as I usually do. I don't invent. It's a felted cloche by Carla Malcolm. It's a 2004 also dated design.
I really like this bow.
The pattern includes its 10 sizes from newborn to adult. So if you're going to be making a lot of cloches, I guess that makes it a reasonably priced pattern. It's just spiraling in the rounds and
I feel like I should be like Mary. Excuse me.
Turning, no joining, just rotations. There's a little bit of math associated, which is why I wanted to mention it too, with making a felted hat. How do you know how big to make the hat so that when you felt it, it's going to shrink, and you want it to shrink just enough so you can actually wear it? Well, this was crocheted using, is that Highland Peruvian wool? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, this is ecological wool from
Ecological.
Cascade. It's 100% Peruvian Highland wool.
Okay. And I don't remember the colorway.
I don't either.
It's blue.
It's blue. It's like a jean.
It's blue.
Denim blue.
It's a 6mm crochet hook, and the idea is that if you're going to felt any object, you should first take the yarn and make a swatch. You make a swatch, let's say 10 inches by 10 inches. Okay, you can put it up there now. 10 inches by 10 inches, and you felt it, and you full it, and you see how much it shrinks in percentage. So if you have a 10 inch by 10 inch swatch and it shrinks to a 6 inch by 6 inch, then you know it has reduced 40%, right? 40% of its size.
Gotta tell you.
That will normally happen with anything that you...
Makes a great winter hat.
Yeah, well, you know, it's wool. It's always going to be winter, and it's the cloche, so it's, you know, close to your head. And
I love clothes.
it's funny because I was ill early during the summer, and I've used this yarn before. I felt it with it before, and after I've made the hat, I can barely resist having it on my head. As soon as I put it on, my nose starts getting itchy, my forehead will get itchy, my face will get itchy, and I have to ignore it, really ignore it, because it didn't happen before. And all of a sudden now all these wools are bothersome to me, but
so
I was hoping to wear it.
What couple are you representing here? Because you said it was part of the Summer of Romance, Gal, so what couple are you representing?
Well, let me finish with what I was talking about first. I was trying to talk a little bit about the percentage of reduction, so that if somebody actually wanted to make a hat but didn't know what size, if you're going to make a 22-inch, let's say, hat, your head circumference is 22 inches, then you will have to make it 40% larger, so that it's multiplying by 1.4, and you will see how much, what the size of the circumference of the hat has to be before you can say I'm finished and I can felt it. This was made to represent the couple Mary and Matthew from Downton Abbey, and the blue is because the second season where it's, you know, they are most together, one of the hats that she used a lot, it has this blue color, and the black is because every time I saw Matthew with a hat, it was normally black,
And he's wearing
and so
it.
the trimmings on the hat, I made them that black color, but they will forever be a favorite pair couple from all the series that I've watched, and it was just a shame that he had to leave.
I love this hat.
Okay,
Okay,
so
it's
that
very
was my first
Couple.
Summer of Romance object. The second Summer of Romance...
Did you put it in the finished object?
Yes, it's in the finished objects, but I didn't put it in the chattered thread. I forgot. No, I don't think I put that one. I put this one in the... So this is my... this was actually my first object for the Summer of Romance. It is a... I tried to do a replica of the beaded bag, Hermione's beaded bag that comes out in...
It's 7th
Deathly
movie.
Hallows, the first part, in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the book also describes
her beaded bag.
Her extended, her beaded bag, on which she puts
extension charm.
A charm so that she can fit all kinds of things in here for their traveling.
Oh, and you wrote a blog post about this, didn't you?
Yes, it's I've shared it on Instagram. I blog posted it, so little.
And I'll put the
as in depth as you can go on a blog without making it too long. And so
I'll put the link to the blog if you're interested in reading the journey of this bag. It's in Mom's blog. It's Mind and Muse, right?
Right.
Weebly.com.
The crochet design was based on a sewed beaded bag for Hermione, which is can be found at kfsfindingmyway.blogspot.com. And the idea here was she sews her panels are triangular. So I crocheted triangular panels. The pattern for the triangular panels was again borrowed from craftandontreats.com, where she has a tutorial on making a triangular pennant. And so I borrowed her, it's a free pattern also, I borrowed her free pattern to make the triangles. And once the triangles are made, they're joined, they form a circle. And so to cover up the little join, God bless you, to cover up the little join, well, I have made this small circle here. And after it's joined, you lined, it should be lined, and then you put on, well, actually first you put on the beading. You put on the beading that you can see here. To make it easier for myself, I just purchased a beaded ribbon, so that I didn't have to sew one by one all the beads on it. And so after the lining was done, I chose a gold lining because the outside is Hermione and the inside is the partner I thought she always should have had, which was Harry. So the gold is representing the golden snitch that Harry carries around about with him in this, what is it, seventh book. Okay. Then it was made into a drawstring. Added the drawstring to it. One thing I found is that since it's all made from stash yarns, see the itching because I touched that? The stash yarns, I used some, because I was going for the colors that the bag actually has. So I used some worsted here, and that made the bag a little thick to be a drawstring bag. But ultimately it's we also had to do these little bubbles at the end, which if I am to be honest, I could live without. They bothered me a little bit when I put it on and having those bubbles at the top sticking out. And then I just went on to crochet also a little beaded coin purse to go on the inside. And so this is my little beaded coin purse to go on the inside of the beaded bag. And here's Harry's owl. Even though it's purple, it's not white. Okay, so that was my second object for the Summer of Romance cap.
Don't look at me, I only have that one object and I've barely been able to finish it, which is kind of embarrassing.
Well, you had problems with your...
Yeah, I've had too many problems health-wise, which has been really annoying. But that's it for me and crochet. I got nothing else. But I do have big plans.
What plans?
So we thought we'd introduce a new segment called Meet the Maker, and where we could discuss about what objects, what we want to make in the future.
Meet your maker.
Meet your maker.
Because I'm talking to the projects that should come to meet your maker. So what are your plans?
Well, you know how I've been saying that I'm supposed to be on this yarn ban? I'm not. I'm really not. Anytime I see a yarn that I think is pretty, I just start and buy it without staring at it. So I guess this kind of melds in with an acquisition as well. And I had acquired this lovely yarn, which is 100% Romney lamb's wool, pure British wool, from Catherine of Crafternoon Treats. So I had originally purchased this yarn, it's called Watermelon Cooler, which reminded me of summer, to make a pair of socks. But then I thought, I want to make something that I'm actually going to showcase everywhere with this yarn because I love the vibrant colors of it. And it reminds me of my favorite watermelon drink, which I told you guys about last time. Catherine, being so nice, she included a couple of gifts with the purchase of this, and it was 2 new colorways and bases that she has going on. So one of her bases is one that she, I'm gonna say, curated herself because she decided what breeds she wanted to include in it. So it's 25% Masham, 25% Romney lamb's wool, 25% British alpaca, 25% blue face Leicester, and it is called the Taps base. This color is a stained glass window, and this is 100% lace weight yarn. And she also included this that I already caked up because I wanted to start. I couldn't wait to show you guys. I really wanted to start this. I just didn't have the time. This is the...
Well, you did take a picture of the skein.
I did take a picture of the skein, which I'll include here. Pretty. This is her South Atlantic lace base. It's 100% British Falkland Merino, and the colorway is Whisper in the Meadow. I have never felt a yarn that was as buttery and lovely as this. Just feel that. Just feel that. It's
squishy.
I know, right? It's just, I just want to cuddle with it. I want to buy like all the yarn she has in this base and just put it as my pillow.
I think it'll make a very nice top.
Right? And that's precisely what I want to make with it, actually. I want to make a garment with this yarn because the colors remind me of, I don't know, they just remind me of like a watercolor painting. You know, all just blended together and beautiful, and I'm in love with it. That's all I have to say. If you can get your hands on some of Catherine's South Atlantic base, I think she also has this in fingering base, 100% Falkland Merino. Just do so because it's lovely. And one of the garments that I was considering making with it is actually a free pattern on Ravelry. It's called the Taze Tank, and it's just 2 granny squares that you make with lace weight yarn and an H-millimeter crochet hook. Yeah, no, L 8mm crochet hook or larger. So you could easily adjust the size of this by increasing or decreasing the hook and increasing the number of rounds you do on your granny square. So in that aspect, it's kind of like the campfire cardigan, which is 2 hexagons. It's also a free pattern on Ravelry, and it's 2 hexagons that you sew together to make the cardigan, and then you keep adding to it with granny stitch. So that's one of the ones I'm considering. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, like I said. I'll include the links, as always, in the show notes, which can be found in the Ravelry group for the Crochet Cakes podcast. Another pattern that I'm considering, I'll insert a picture of it here because it doesn't really have a name. I think it's called a cropped boho tunic, and it's not really a pattern, it's more like a recipe because she tells you the stitch count for the stitches that you're supposed to be using, and it's a kind of like a repeat. So she'll say you need multiples of 9 plus 1 or multiples of 9, and always keep in mind that maybe you just want to do 1 added repeat here. So it's really more like a recipe. You really depend on your measurements and the yarn you're using. They do suggest lace weight yarn as well, or fingering weight. So it depends, your measurements, the yarn you're using. But it looks, I don't know, I just thought it looked really pretty, and it looked like something that would showcase the yarn as well as the top. So Those are the two patterns I'm considering making it with it, and they're both garments. Supposedly they both take 1 skein of lace weight yarn, so that's why I'm really looking into them.
How many yards is in there? It's about 800 yards?
Catherine puts the meters, so it's got 800 meters.
Oh, 800 meters, okay.
I'm never sure if meters is more or less than yards. Miss Math Professor? Is meters more or less than yards? Okay, moving on. So those are, as I said, the two things I'm considering making with Catherine's.
Meters more.
Meters more?
Because the yards are 36 inches, and I think there's about 39 inches in the meter. So I believe the meter's a bit more.
So hopefully I'll have enough enough yarn to do that. That is kind of like my main obsession at the moment, along with the half moon bag pattern by Emily from make.e. I attempted to make it with t-shirt yarn. We'll talk about
you didn't
that.
Bring it.
No, I didn't bring it. I attempted to make it with t-shirt yarn, and should I bring it?
Did it pick up?
I got it now. Okay, so as I was saying, this is the half moon bag pattern by Emily, who is make.e. You can buy this pattern on Etsy, and it's for a bag, which is supposed to look something like this at some point, except that I ran out of yarn. You may not think I did because there's yarn here, but the thing about this yarn, this is Lion Brand t-shirt yarn. It didn't really have a name, and I lost the ball band, but maybe you can see the texture. It's very t-shirt yarny. It's definitely got some spandex in it.
I don't remember. It was something with F.
I don't know. So I actually went through the yarn.
Fettuccine, I think it was called.
No, fettuccine is the other one they have, which looks like a mesh. It's t-shirt yarn, but it's like a mesh. This one is complete t-shirt yarn. See? The problem I had with this yarn was that it's very all over the place. You have some skeins that are really, really thick. And then, I mean, some strips. And then you have some strips that are really, really thin. So while I was crocheting the bag, I went through it and I cut the strips that were too thick to try and get it as even as possible. So that's why it looks like I've got yarn left over. I really don't.
And we weren't able to find any more of it.
No, anywhere. It's like it didn't even exist because I googled the name before I lost the ball band. And it was like, I mean, when Google can't find something, you know, I don't know, maybe we got it at Fairyland or something. But I purchased some.
I got it in Walmart on sale, but
it wasn't
I
Fairyland.
looked through all the Walmarts here and I couldn't find it anymore.
But I went on woolwarehouse.com.
Maybe one of your viewers will have some.
Oh yeah, if you guys happen to own Lion Brand t-shirt yarn,
We could do a swap.
We could do a swap, or you could tell me where you got it, or I could gift you the bag after I finish crocheting it. Just let me know. So yeah, that's it for projects I really want to make right now. Do you have anything that you're excited about?
Yes, I also have two that I want to mention, not maybe not as in-depth as you, but I do want to mention them. I purchased 2 additional patterns that I already have in my plans of my future things that I would like to see. One of them was Picking Flowers by Christina Hattering, that if you remember, she is also the designer of the Hotel of Bees shawl. And so she brought a design that she calls the first design in her poetry collection because supposedly it is inspired by the feeling of spring being near. Of course, at this point, well, we can't identify too much with that. But it is a sweater and is worked also top down. Well, she says top down, but the sweater has along the arm, it has a row of
kind of like a
not
flowered,
to say granny squares, but some type of applique, a flower applique that you make first, and then you attach to that, and from there on, it's all.
It would look gorgeous
top
in
down.
this color, but it's not a lace weight.
I think it's made for fingering weight. I think it's made for fingering.
But I mean the color.
I already chose my colors.
No, that's not it.
It's not it. It's in the mail. It hasn't come yet, so.
You made a purchase.
Well, yes, don't you remember from Forbidden
that's
Wolverine?
right.
I've been
Yeah,
waiting
yeah.
for summer. It's called summer something.
Summer bouquet.
Summer bouquet, and it hasn't arrived yet.
And it's in the Her Proverb space, which is a cotton linen blend. And I don't know why I know all this, but I just do.
Because she was the reason that I bought it. She liked it a lot,
Yeah.
and so I purchased it. And then after that, I purchased this pattern because I thought it would look very nice in that
It's
yarn.
a beautiful pattern. You should go check it out, guys.
The second project that I'd like to start soon, it was supposed to be my birthday cast on, but because of the fact that it uses 6 colors and I had to cake up 6, I would have to cake them all up that night, but well, I chickened out and I did something else for my cast on.
Sorry for the
Something I
clicking.
didn't have to, something I didn't have to cake up. That was red. I could use just as I took the ball band off and I could still use it. So I wanted to make the blur shawl, which is another shawl that is has taken a lot of popularity among the crocheters on Instagram.
Why? Because it's a crochet fade.
What's her name?
Addie Day. She's Addie Day Designs.
No, I know the designer is Addie Day, but I was going to mention some of the
Rosina.
podcasts that maybe you've been seeing.
Rosina from
did
Zines and
hers,
Roger.
Crochet Luna
Luna.
did one too, and so I had purchased a little while back from Little Bean.
Kayleen.
Little Bean Loves a package of 5, right? It was 5 coordinating yarns based on
This
color,
colorway.
which was
Don't call me
Nymphadora,
Nymphadora.
another one of the characters of Harry Potter. And she designed several colors to go along with that color. So I really, in the design, though it has 6 colors, some of them are barely used. That's why she says that this shawl was designed so that you could use a lot of stash, because you use maybe 20 grams of the first color, 35 grams of the second, and then from there on it goes up.
And
So-
it's a crocheted fade crescent shawl, right?
Right, it's made in that sense where one color like sort of fades into the other, so they're not just distinct lines like say a stripe. The one color fades into the other. So I want this to be color number 1, and then I think this was going to be color number 2.
I've only got 2 arms.
I know I'm going to repeat a color because there are some of them that use 20 and 35. I can actually out of one skein get 2 sections, and because
Oh, you were going to repeat this one, I think you said. At the top?
I don't like that one really that much. It's
That's my favorite.
it's kind of
That's-
something that stands out.
Hi.
So I will be repeating one of these 2 colors because I want to use all of this. This 5th color uses the 100 grams, and so does the 6th color. And so I
so
really
it
got
starts this way?
Right.
Oh.
So you can choose to either start out with thick lines that fade into thin ones, or thin ones that fade into thick one. I'm going thin to thick.
I would love a garment in this color.
Well, there'll be a lot left over.
Can't make a garment with it.
So that's my second. That's the second
It's hot.
Meet Your Maker project. That
The Blur by Addie Day Designs.
Right.
Because it is a crochet fade. And who doesn't love a fade? It's all the rage. That
and
kind of
It
rhymes.
can be. She has like 2 sizes where she says that you can either stop here, like a large and like an extra large. I think it is because, yeah, it's made to be a large shawl.
Yep. So, is there anything else you want to talk about in terms of projects?
Well, I have one work in progress that I didn't complete. I showed this to you the last time I was here. That's why I didn't want to leave today without re-showing it. It was supposed to be my Mother's Day project. And
Now it's turned into a Christmas
turned
project.
maybe Oktoberfest. It was this my top with a collar. DMC crochet, right? Is the it's a purchased pattern. And the last time that I showed it to you, I don't remember how much of it I had done, but now I have completed the back. This is the whole back. And I have
Want me to hold this up?
partially completed the front. right? Or it's the designs are separated.
Oh, you actually have a lot of it almost done.
It's separated because
shame on you. You
that
could have
will be the collar.
finished.
And then it's connected by the collar and then connected at the sides.
Oh, that's cool.
So I don't have a lot to go, but it's another one of those things where I stopped because I got scared. I got scared because I don't really think the pattern has all the details that I would need to make it. It does say intermediate level, so maybe it's just that I don't have all the necessary skills. So for me, I can kind of like relate when I explain a math problem to a student. If I'm jumping steps, he's going to get lost because he's not at that level. And I think that's where I am. There's just some steps that they're leaving out that they're assumed to be obvious, and it's not making all the connection it needs to connect. So I take it slow. I reread the pattern. No, I still don't get it. I reread the pattern. No, I still don't get it. And I keep on rereading it until I feel like, okay, let's jump into it and try and get it done. So I don't have a lot left. Hopefully it'll be done before October.
So in terms of projects that you thought needed a bit more instruction that was provided, I think we can introduce our lovely model back here, which scared me when I first walked into the room. I thought it was a person.
What?
This is, do I need to step out? I think I need to.
These are, what is this?
Yeah,
what is this now, our sewing section?
No, I'm just speaking of patterns that you thought needed more instruction.
Oh, okay. But actually this was a book that I purchased, a booklet, an electronic booklet that I purchased also at Etsy. I think it's called E-Vintage Patterns from Etsy, and it's called the 1 Hour
Frock.
The 1 hour or dress. It depends on because it has been re-edited and restored by many people, and so they kind of changed the name a little bit. But it's from the 1920s. The original publication is from 1924, and it was actually in 1924 by Mary Brooks was the original author, Mary Brooks Pickens, and it was originally published by the Women's Institute of Domestic Arts and Sciences. The book was restored and revised by Carol Davy, and so she includes some additional illustrations and some additional instructions because the instructions are very scant. It appears that the seamstresses of the 1920s were very knowledgeable and could really read into the words. It didn't take me an hour to make it. It took me, I wouldn't say lots of hours because I just worked on it little by little, but it did take more than an hour. It's the reading of the booklet is actually entertaining because they mention it includes a copy of an original certificate by a company or where I don't know if it was the original Mary Pickens who went and actually made the frock at an establishment, and it's recorded, it's recorded and certified that she took 34 minutes to make her frock. Now, I was nowhere near that. Of course, she does say that in order for it to take you 30 and less than an hour, you have to read and reread the pattern until you understand exactly what you have to do, and then it'll take you that more or less an hour to do it. So that's my version. I'm hoping for it to be my Halloween dress up this year, if I can get it to look like I would like it to look and get all the other accessories along with it. And so that was an interesting reading that I found under the vintage readings of the internet. Is there anything that you're reading that you would like to share?
Well, I'm back into the shop because you couldn't really see the dress properly. I wanted to share this book that I've been coveting and Mom actually purchased. It's called Top Down Crochet Sweaters by Dora. Her last name can be read right there. I don't want to butcher it. And it's fabulous patterns with the perfect fit. As the title says, they're all top down. I started reading the first few pages about yarns and top-down construction ideas, And here you can see measurements and all that. You can see some of the patterns that are included. I think each pattern has 2 versions. They all have the basic construction, but the actual patterning is different. So I think it's going to be a very fun book to read, and it'll be very...
Well, I don't know if it's the patterning or the finished object.
Sometimes
it'll be a top-down top, like something like a shirt, like a blouse, and sometimes it'll be a cardigan.
It's just got make your garment fit. So I think it'll be very educational in terms of making your own garments, which is something that I've been talking to Mom for a while. I would like at some point to actually design my own top pattern for a garment. That's something I really want to get into, but I'm very afraid that I'm going to fail at it. So I'm taking it slow, and I'm buying books. I also bought another book that Faye suggested in her podcast, which I don't remember, but I haven't got it yet in the mail. It's in the mail. I bought that book, which is also about finishings and the best finishes for garments and different ideas about finishing your objects and making them look professional. So yeah, I'm just basically collecting books and doing lots of research so that I eventually can design my own shirt.
I'm interested in making, I know the first garment I'm going to make here. It's because...
Oh, I want to make all of them.
No, but it's because of this Harry Potter Cal. We're trying to participate every month. And so she actually does have, let me see if I can find it quickly,
the Luna.
The Luna blouse. So this is the back of it. The Luna blouse, and let me see if there's one at the front.
So see, she does Luna
cardigan.
It's
an extended single crochet, so it's got a neat stitch to it, and yeah, just because it's called Luna.
Well, I think that's all it for me this week. Sorry for the long hiatus, but as I've said previously, I haven't really been able to crochet much, and it's only been recently that I have no pain in my arm. And yeah, the move to Florida, it's a big thing, you know, and I'm not moving yet. Still got a couple more months with Mom. But eventually I will be venturing overseas, just not yet. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, I'm done. I've worked myself to death and tried to present everything. Well, not everything. There are bits and pieces around there that we couldn't talk about this time. But
let's just say
we'll meet again in the near future, and hoping you all have a very... Most people are on holiday right now, so I don't know if we should say hoping you all have a nice crafting summer, but well, if you're not on holiday, or if your holiday is just at home like ours is,
I don't have a holiday.
We hope you have a crafty summer, and Clarissa will see you sooner than I will, but we will see you soon. Take care of yourselves, and lots of fun.
Happy crafting.
Happy crafting.
Don't forget, if you liked the video, then please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, then please do so already. It's the best way to catch up with me. Don't forget to follow either of us on Instagram. Check out Mom's blog, which I will include in the links below. And
just fill your time with lots of happy crafting and other people's crafting. Oh, we didn't talk about purchases.
From us here at home, which includes this lovely llama bag that was purchased from Pear and Plum. I'll include a decent picture. Happy crafting!
Happy crafting!
Bye! And we're live in 3, 2,